We alluded to it on the end of last week, the last episode we did. But I guess just the other really big news story from last week that's still ongoing is the golden age, the return of Twitter as being a vital thing for our society, the modern agora. So Elon Musk's Twitter, we've had it now for about 2 weeks. Fellas, I got to say, it's been great.
Wonderful.
It's pretty good.
Look, none of the parody accounts have been funny, but their effects on the real world have been quite hilarious.
Oh my goodness!
Like tanking Eli Lilly's stock by just saying insulin's free now. If that's what it takes to fucking just crater Eli Lilly's stock market value, is just people realizing, like, wait a second, why isn't insulin free already? Wait, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's like if Adbusters kind of worked a little bit.
But then Musk himself, just basically being on Twitter, replying to people and just being like, interesting, we're working on that. I think the thing that's funny about like the Musk managed Twitter is, A, what a shit show it is, but B, also that they're realizing that like Twitter was not run as a company that was like some sort of SJW cabal seeking to like suppress speech. And I'm sure they do that in various ways, but I think it's like mainly they're finding out that it's a company that was desperately trying to find a way to make money. And I think now he's basically going to reverse engineer all of the content moderation and management of Twitter that there was already in place, because like that's the way to make it economically viable, or like the only way to make it even approach being economically viable or attractive. It's not looking good for advertisers right now on Twitter.
He convinced himself because he doesn't know anything, and he's surrounded by a bunch of fucking people who just tell him that his instincts are correct. He has the same instincts as a bunch of dumb rich assholes, which is to think, like the political correctness that dominates social media places, like the speech constraints, are the result of ideologically motivated SJW jihadists. And that you could basically bully them off of the point and then dom them because they're a bunch of blue-haired pussies and they have no grit. But it turns out a company that is fueled by advertising dollars has advertisers who do not want to piss off vital segments of the market. And the market that you're protecting by going free speech absolutist is the aging is a demographic that is shrinking relative to all the other demographics, and trying to appeal to them by necessity means alienating the actual growth segments in the market. So it doesn't matter if you're what color your hair is or if you have a septum piercing. The money tells you gotta get off that platform. And their only response, amazingly, was he thought that he was gonna like get his army of fans to intimidate them the way they imagine that the social justice warriors do. But again, that's one weird segment of weirdos against everyone else. That's not a hard call. That's not a difficult decision to make for a company.
The thing that is astounding to me, the most telling of dumb things he said that was flagged by Birdwatch, which is the dumb community flagging system with Twitter, is he said that Twitter is the biggest driver of links. More people click links from Twitter than anywhere else on the internet, and it turns out
like 10,000 times more driven from Facebook.
7% by Twitter, 70% by Facebook, by a factor of 10. Neck and neck with Pinterest. I'd actually probably say that Pinterest drives it more if we're accounting for like bot shit, but it does. That specifically was an amazing tell for me. Because, like, what have we heard for years? Twitter isn't real life. Journalists are obsessed with Twitter. Journalists think Twitter is broadly representative of the world, despite being a very small sliver of social media. That is, that's true. It does make you see the world with blinkers. However, it turns out that conservatives, they have those exact same blinkers on. They think that Twitter is representative of the real world, but you just have to turn off the shadow banning lever and the search ban lever and the retweet throttling lever, and then it's actually a true Roman forum. I think he literally bought this thing thinking that it was the most broadly used thing in the world just because he's on it all the time.
If I'm on it, then it's got to be where it is, that by definition, because I'm there.
Yeah.
No, Felix, to your point though, I mean, I think you see that in these people's obsession with bots and bot networks. I mean, this is exactly like the Russian election hacking disinformancia, like liberal obsession with bots and Russian bot networks. I think it's just for a certain kind of boomer. If they encounter anyone disagreeing with them, they now assume it's a robot of some kind. They're like we've talked about this before, but they're all like Dwayne Hoover in Breakfast of Champions. And it doesn't really matter whether you're a liberal or a conservative. They just think any evidence of people not liking my posts or my follower count plateauing is the result of some sort of nefarious artificial intelligence and not just, the people you encounter on social media.
Yeah, you see it in his replies. Anytime someone is like, the thing he had today, we've deleted 20% of bloatware, and then 2 seconds later, two-factor authentication doesn't work anymore. When people are replying to him and going, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you're breaking it. Everyone who has a purchased blue check mark will reply to the unverified person saying this with a little robot emoji, just like libs right after the 2016 election. Exact same thing.
It's amazing. They've gotten to the point where if you did not buy a check mark so that you could be on Elon's team, then that is prima facie evidence that you must be a robot. That's what they've decided. It's amazing. It's like, I'm sorry, who's the person who is unthinkingly and automatically doing something that the company wants them to do? That's you, motherfucker. You're the robot. Oh my God. Fucking plot twist.
We do have numbers on how many people have made that jump, have purchased the special Twitter Blue for the checkmark. It's about 22,000 people, which is, okay, he would need 13 million to even service the debt. It's just off revenue. And they're actually making less of a profit off that special Twitter Blue than they were in the previous era because of the pausing of blue chip advertisers. They're actually like losing money, probably 20,000 subscriptions is probably losing them money because of the lack of ad revenue, because they have to reduce the ads. It's not even ad free. It's half the ads. But I think he's
Wait, Twitter Blue is not even ad free. It's just less ads. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The thing that is really amazing about the previous thing, where it was like, okay, we're going to counter boycott, we're going to bully them into advertising on Twitter. It's the idea that like Twitter is this amazing place to advertise that everyone wants to advertise on. It is a fraction of advertisers' budgets. They've never really given a shit about it because it's never really like done anything. There's a big debate over what advertising works and if it's overall effective or not. But certainly ads on Twitter are so negligible, and you can just throw them away and not even notice that it's like, why would they come back?
Yeah, there's no incentive to do it. I mean, unless they're afraid of getting brutally pwned in the comments by the Elon Brigade, which I'm sorry, that's not a social force worth worrying about when you're talking about your bottom line as a company.
Well, I mean, another thing this has treated us to is like it's given people on Twitter a kind of a keyhole glimpse into what it's like to work for one of Elon's companies, like at Tesla or something like that. And man, he seems like a competent manager and a good boss. I mean, I guess there is no such thing as a good boss, but it does seem like him, like I would imagine pretty much all of these guys. Like, what do you do? What do you enjoy about being a CEO or running a company? The ability to fire people. And push your weight around, and swing your dick around. The LA Times has a run up of headline: "Is the world's richest person the world's worst boss? What it's like to work for Elon Musk" by Russ Mitchell for the LA Times. And he sounds like he sounds like a baby, but like also kind of a psycho. But like not
that's
in like
all
an,
rich
not,
people now.
Not in like an baby intimidating psychos. Way. Just a baby. Like he just lashing out and also being like sort of like a Christmas Carol, except no one gets a goose at the end of the day. I'm just going to read for a couple of things from the LA Times article. It says here, another whistleblower, Martin Tripp, moved to Hungary to escape the wrath of Musk after the news site Insider ran a story about excessive scrap waste at Tesla's battery factory in 2018. Private investigators hired by Musk to identify the source named Tripp a factory employee. Tripp was fired. Tesla said he stole company data. Musk later called a reporter to say he'd heard Tripp was on his way to the factory with a gun. The local sheriff's department later said no, he was miles away in Reno with no gun and no evidence that he had one. So, saying that a whistleblower was going to do us like a workplace shooting at a Tesla factory, a Tesla battery factory. That's pretty good. And also, you remember during the when the kids in Thailand were trapped in a cave, and he said the rescue diver was a pedophile.
Yeah.
Next up, it says one way Tesla lowered its injury numbers, according to Reveal, was by denying ambulance service to some injured factory workers who requested it. Medical staff were told not to call 911 without management permission. The electric car makers contract doctors rarely grant it, instead often insisting that seriously injured workers, including one who severed the top of a finger, be sent to the emergency room in a lift. Reveal said, quoting 5 former medical clinic employees at Tesla's Fremont Auto Assembly plant. And last but not least, we've talked about this story before. It's a good one. In another strange episode, Musk found himself tethered in what's become known as the horse for sex scandal. Business Insider also broke that story, which revolved around a lawsuit filed by a woman who said she was hired to provide massage services to the world's richest human. She alleged she was summoned by Musk aboard his Gulfstream G60ER private jet for a full-body massage, and Musk showed her his erect penis, then touched her and offered to buy her a horse in return for sex. SpaceX paid the woman $250,000 in a legal settlement.
I will buy you a new horse.
The weirdest Musk workplace scandal was that he paid that woman to do in vitro fertilization of twins.
Yeah.
Just amidst like 3 other kids he was having.
He just loves reproducing. He can't stop.
That one I thought about a lot because one of his big hobby horses is declining birth rates.
Yeah.
And sort of similar to the $44 billion boondoggle he's gotten himself into. He, I guess he worked himself up into a frenzy and went, okay, I'll work on it. Yeah. Okay, I'll do it.
Did you see? So you've seen they just Twitter just got a big ad buy from SpaceX.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, I can't wait to buy a rocket off of the really persuasive ads that they're going to put on there. So this is like he's taking money from one of his companies to prop up his position in this failing venture here, so he can get just some cash flow in here. And of course, SpaceX is entirely dependent on government contracts. The company that he is leveraging leveraged to buy Twitter in the first place, Tesla, was built on contracts as well. So he leveraged one thing that is just government money, and is now literally just taking government money out of another one to prop it up for a third thing that by any fucking reasonable measure should be a public utility, a thing like Twitter. They should all be fucking public utilities. It's like, what is the benefit? Look at this arrangement where we have the electric car company and the space company and the public forum company all owned by this fucking guy. What is his value add? Being an insane narcissist with a bunch of weird hobby horses that he gets to fucking pursue to oblivion because there's no one to stop him? Where is the public benefit to these being privately fucking owned? Especially because this is the guy who will take over. This is the guy who will reign in this era of privatized industry. Also, considering that the mechanism for him to publicly own it is not for him to go, okay, I'm cashing out $44 billion worth of my equity in, whatever bullshit venture. It's to just add tens of billions of dollars in debt onto the venture he's buying. The only thing where they let you buy things that way. Yeah, it's amazing. How are you set to own this after that? That's insane. When you take out a mortgage, you owe that money. This is the only thing. Nothing. They don't let you do this with anything else, really. They don't let you go. Okay, I'm having a leveraged lunch. I'm buying a sandwich. Now the sandwich assumes $19 in debt.
And then
it's insane.
I can bundle my shit and sell it back to the sandwich after I've digested it. Yeah. We're packaging securities based on how much we're gonna shit the next day, and the revenue from that, believe me, it will be fine. But have you seen also since this deal began, Tesla's the shares are pretty much half what they were worth before. I know they had a stock split, but even given that, they've declined by about half. And I don't think it's just investors going, holy shit,
this guy's a fraud or this guy is obsessive or will hype himself up into, going into this boondoggle that will consume all his time. It's also the fact that in the long run, it doesn't seem like Tesla will be worth $1 trillion.
Well, I mean, not when everyone can see what its CEO actually like, what his actual thoughts and behavior are like in public. Because usually when someone's that wealthy, people just assume, oh, he must be smart. He must be good at what he does. But then, is anyone gonna want to get in a car fucking created by the asshole who's driving Twitter into the fucking ground? Or just? But
even beyond that, though, if Tesla isn't the only electric car company, he's fucked, right? Because it has no advantage over like General Motors or any company that actually makes cars, which are now coming out with electric models that can compete with Tesla and be less expensive and not explode. And hey, here's one. It'll actually still drive if the company goes bankrupt, which will not be the case for your fucking Teslas. Right. Those things will brick the second they stop making payments.
If we're looking at like Tesla's actual, fundamentals, some of which investors looked at during the gold rush period, I mean, they are dependent on carbon credits to have any positive cash flow. And when other companies with with much better manufacturing capacity and who make much better cars get into this space, like what's going to happen? That's
why he put all his eggs in the fucking automatic car bullshit, because they were gonna solve self-driving and be the self-driving company with proprietary software. No, you've just made a ground version of the F-35. Congratulations.
Yeah, that was their only play, really, right? Was to make was to be like the self-driving car guys, and then probably in his fantasies get out of the physical manufacturing business and just get software licenses. Yeah, they would be like IBM or Microsoft, but the only future I really see for Tesla is, being bought by someone else, because some people would still want to buy roadsters at a highly, highly increased cost. And the only future I see for any of his companies operating independently at all would probably be SpaceX as a government contractor. Mm-hmm. And the only products they actually make that could make money are things that get paid for through defense contracts, not space tourism or any of this fucking bullshit. You have to divide his companies into the shit, his hobby horse, and then the thing that they actually generates any positive revenue. And for companies that are entirely his hobby horse, like Twitter or like the Boring Company, that's nothing. That's vaporware. It will never make money.
Yeah. It's like all the stuff that this singular genius is supposed to bring to these industries, all the innovation is actually all of the garbage and all of the stuff that's just weighing it down. The stuff that makes money is just boring old stuff that, a government agency could much more efficiently manage at the end of the day, but not with magic and bells and whistles. The fact that he still has defenders, though, it's stunning, but at the same time, it's inevitable, because it is a theological belief in this country among millions of people that if you get to his position in this country, in the rat race, in the struggle for all against all of the market, if you get to a position like he has, then you by definition are in some way a genius. You earned it. You are the evidence of your success proves your worthiness of your position, and they just can't give that up, because if that's not true, then there's nobody at the fucking wheel of this thing. It's just a bunch of clowns and frauds just scamming their way from one quarter to another until the fucking wheels fall off.
I do want to close out the Musk thing. Could you see him, because I floated this idea the other day, Robert Maxwell type ending?
Okay, actually, I was thinking about this in the back of my head when you were like, okay, like this is the only area of the economy where you're allowed to buy something for $44 billion and essentially just take on debt to do it. Could he? I mean, like, because Elon is the world's wealthiest man, and just like as an individual, right? Like what he represents is so grafted into like the U.S. economy and like the global market, whatever you want to say. It's just like all the sinews of his, I don't know, drug cartel money laundering or whatever the fuck is going on behind the curtains there. That like if he fucks with the money too much, could he have like a plane crash in his future? Could he have one of his jets hit the Pacific at like 700 miles an hour, obliterating?
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I mean, think about the guys who got burned lending him money on this. I mean, okay, the one guy who I think would already be drawing up plans to kill him wisely has not lent him any money, and that's Jamie Dimon. JP Morgan has very conspicuously avoided Musk loans for the duration. But I do think, okay, if you're the higher level of the Bohemian Grove, and you see like the octopus system, that this guy is at the center of a Jenga tower that's worth like $3 trillion when you connect it to a bunch of things. And you see how much you can goad him into doing things, because he has one of those personalities of a guy who got bullied too much and he can't back down about anything. It's just like the check marks. The easiest solution to the check mark problem would be just make them a different color. But because he made this public stance, he can't be made to look like he's backing down. And that same dumbass impulse will obliterate trillions of dollars. If you're one of those guys, maybe the smartest thing you think is, yes, boat accident. And oh my God, what a tragedy that Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison of our age, has died in, his jet collided with an oil drum factory. Oh my God, how terrible. Anyway, we're going to be taking these companies into conservatorship and juicing the government contracts and selling all the shit that's like, we're going to turn your brain into a PlayStation 5.
Well, I mean, back
a little fantastical, but it's happened before.
Well, as long as we're fantasizing here, do you think he would be paying employees to bear his children if there was like reliable technology that could scan your brain and upload it into a computer? Because I think a lot of these guys, it's sort of like the Jeffrey Epstein thing. I think a lot of these guys are kind of hedging their bets against being able to artificially recreate the neural networks of their brain in a computer, which will never happen, or at least not in their lifetimes. They
can't even get good hair plugs.
With spreading their seed as far as possible, like all that weird Jeffrey Epstein stuff about freezing his dick and balls and stuff, and so he can keep siring children for 1 million years into the future. But Michael Hudson brought this up, like the crucial element to like the plane crash rather than the boating accident is that it would obliterate his brainstem and any chance of like recreating his thoughts in a computer.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. I would like it if it worked a little bit. You could get a little bit of your consciousness in the computer, but he has to live in Counter-Strike forever.
Just getting you could just pwn him
Chinese
eternally.
Teenagers. Yeah.